How do we communicate? So, like, let's say our church is having an event and we hand out flyers. Well, it's going to be in English.
Yeah.
Do we need to have a flyer in Spanish that we hand, or do one side need to be Spanish and English? How do we communicate to our community that all are welcome? And even, let's say, one side's English, one side's Spanish. Well, what about those that are from Korea? What about those that are from other places that speak other languages? How can that communicate to them that all are welcome?
Well, I believe that you need to go through a process in how to arrive to that point. Because if you want to jump there directly, if you did not engage the beginning of the process, then you're going to encounter some difficulties. For example, something that I would recommend in order to arrive to that level, it will be first pray. Pray as a congregation and to say, okay, is this the route that we want to pursue? Once you understand the responsibilities that come after praying and letting God decide what is going to happen, then the second aspect will be do a survey of your neighborhood. Do you have enough people around you that it could be that maybe it's going to be a Filipino ministry. It could be an Asian ministry, but you need to do a survey of the amount of people that surround in your neighborhood. Then number 3 will be establish the right leadership in your ministry. And when I say establish the right leadership is be careful not just to put someone who's only speaking Spanish just because of the language. You need to find the right individual, an educated individual, an educated person who is capable to connect, to be that bridge between the two cultures that will be able to lead, who has a vision to that. So once you have the leadership, then you're going to start doing the aspect of how you're going to set up the goals. How are you going to do the programs? What is your objective? Meaning, is you going to do an outreach? Are you going to do worship? How are you going to do the worship? Like, do those plannings from that process. Then, in the fourth level, then you communicate to the congregation, okay, this is the way that we're going to do it. Then we're going to send flyers. Why? Because we already have this plan established. This is our goal. This is our objective. And you see, if you skip these 3 steps and you go directly to that one, then maybe the group is not going to be in the same page. If the leadership is not engaged in being in that process, it will fail. It will fail.
So, Christian, you just talked about not skipping those first steps and making sure that infrastructure is in place before implementing an outreach, right?
Yes.
Or inviting those types of situations on the current congregation. For instance, our church, we have a guy who is coming to be a missionary at a local university in just a few months. His goal is to reach international students on the campus at the university. It's an incredible opportunity, but right now we have very few college students who even attend our church, much less different ethnicities represented. So help me help our church. What types of things can we do for our people to prep them now so that when those students come, we are prepared for them?
Yes. So going back, I think, to if you already have someone in the leadership aspect, someone who's going to represent that, then it will be talk with the rest of the leadership and find out how is this going to look like. Let's cast a vision of where do you want to arrive. And if we arrive there, how are we going to manage that? Have an idea, some plans to pursue in order to, when it happens, you know what comes next. Then from that point, you communicate that to the congregation, because the congregation needs to be also in the same page. Understand that, okay, this is something that God has put in our heart to pursue this vision, and this is what we're going to do as a church. Because if the leadership is not there, it's not going to work. But if the church is not there, it's not going to work either. So if the leadership and the church both need to communicate, then you do those things of sharing flyers, doing connections, because you already have a plan, like we're going to have an event. This is going to be the event. Then you're going to jump to the next stage, will be the language. How are we going to deal with the language? How are we going to do things like flyers? Who's going to do the translation for those flyers? When it comes to events, like I said, technology makes it easier. You can use as simple as Google Translate just to have a simple communication. But let's say if you're in a service and if you want to preach a sermon, how are you going to communicate that to the congregation? There's simple ways, like there's one program, I think it's called Live Voice, that you can use as a translation. Let's say it could be a setup like this, that I can be listening. Actually, that's what I'm doing in my church right now. I invite the people to attend to the main congregation so they be fed by the same word, and all of us will be on the same vision. So we don't want 2 churches within one roof. So the idea is they come, they listen to the pastor, and I listen to the pastor in a special cabin, and I translate simultaneously in Spanish. And people, they just bring their phones with their earbuds thoughts, and they
In
listen
real
in their
time.
own language in real time. So that will be a way for them to, okay, I'm being fed by the Word of God in the same way that people that are sitting right next to me is being fed. So we're both in the same page. Also, another thing that you have to consider is the financial aspect. Are you going to have a special funds for this particular program that'll make it work? And at the end, you're going to do an evaluation. Did it work? It didn't work. And then just follow again the same process and that idea with that order. Because if there's something in the steps that are missing, that are not evaluated properly, you will find something that is going to be at the end not working in the way that you want it. So take your time, pray, find wisdom, and follow those steps.